Welcome back, everybody. We are still with Lerata, and we are talking about amazing stuff about entrepreneurship and impact. And in this segment, we just want to talk about Lerata's participation in politics. So, Lerata, tell us what made you decide to go into politics?
Um, I usually have a question to say, what is politics?
Or maybe we can start there.
Yes. Others is how we live, or in the famous words of that day, so it's the question of life. Everything is politics. Everything is politics as far as I'm concerned. If you vote, it has a political significance. If you don't vote, it has political significance. Politics is not being in leadership. The villages, the communities where we come from, we share the road, we share the water. If the power is off, it affects everybody. If the storms sweep away the road, it affects everybody. It's if there's not sufficient security or there's crime in the area, it talks to everybody. It does not select. And our role, one way or another, is we are accountable and responsible for all the things that happen around us. So you can either be a spectator or one of the players or an entertainer, as others would call it. So you choose which role you function. You can be passive and pretend like all these things that are happening around you, even the air that you breathe, it's none of your business, but you breathe it anyway. Or you can own and do say, the oxygen I get comes from the plants, and the plants uses the carbon dioxide that is produced by what is around. So we are integrated beings, and there is no way that we can isolate or divorce ourselves from aspects of politics. That's my understanding.
Okay. Interesting. So other people feel like when you go into politics, actually when you are into politics, it's when you actually join a party, participate. So if I hear you well, what you're saying is we are all in politics, but at different levels. Is that what you mean?
That's what we're saying. And by virtue of voting, it's actually active participation, and even not voting. I know in our studies you say you can choose to take a risk and choose not to take a risk. Those are two separate options. The fact that you're not doing anything doesn't mean you've not taken a decision. You still have taken a decision. So that's how I see it, even in politics. But politics, as we understand it, means actively in leadership. Sometimes as a pressure group, as an activist. Activist for what? Women issues, youth issues, employment issues, business issues. Those are politics. Everything it's essentially politics. But yes, when I got into it, it was first I aligned myself with a certain political party, and I got loud about it. Most people do not become loud about it, and they think by not being allowed about it means you're not in politics. Okay, but when you are allowed about it, it makes people to start saying, okay, we know where you stand, we are on your side or we are not on your side. So it makes the conversation to be more direct. It's like be more transparent, as opposed to when, and most people do vote to not align themselves to any political party. They align themselves to say who's making more sense at the time. That's what we call floating votes or floating politicians, whatever you call them. But we all are indeed political beings, in my opinion.
Yes, I like that we have your passive people that are in politics, and then we have active. And you were actively a part of the politics space by being the principal secretary and the Ministry of Small Businesses. Can you tell us about that? How did you end up in this role?
That's an interesting one. The minister, I'll be frank and tell you, I played politics of friendship and not really the party. So I had the colors that you're all aware of, ABC member, but I was more aligned and supporting my friend for years, which is the then minister of the ministry that I was working off. We have friendship running for 16 years. Family friend, personal friend, business partner, and a whole lot of things. And so, and that's how I ended up in politics through him. And as an individual, he's very robust and influential as a character in politics. And as you would see, when most people, even in business, they were schoolmates at high school or tertiary. So when they started forming formations, it was not the beginning of their unity. It is the same things. So when they say, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are, it's the same story. The people that are associated with, we had certain things that brought us together, whether it's doing on political issues, and that's where we ended up there. Now, I was raised up in an environment of what you call a national party, but I was never active up until the point that I started making decisions for myself. And then comes another thing that when I had the cause to do that Army Change Agent movement, was around the same time, and it's the one that also contributed to my relevance in social issues. And I used to be loud on social media on topical issues around taxation, things that we can do, governance, and airing the views and criticizing a lot of institutions like your tax authorities, the banks and stuff. And I was actually in politics by doing so. So that's why it was easy for me, for people to associate me or to see the alignment, to say you might as well go into the mainstream politics. So that's how I ended up in politics.
Okay.
So what's the one thing that or maybe one or two things that you had in mind that you wanted to effect change on when you got an opportunity to be on the side of the government,
Oh yeah. For me, it has always been business, love for country, and that we need to have our own solutions as Basotho. That was the drive. And then to build the confidence, the integrity of our people, that they as well can be great. They can do things without having to be known to be a small country within a big country, a country that is popular with AIDS, all those things, the weddings. And we barely talk of the things that we're good at. We don't bring those to the front for the people. And most of them had to do with that inner thing, to say, let's bring out ourselves. Let's do things that talk to our people. Let's do things our way, not even the global way. One such thing that I'm proudly not apologetic about is, and an example is this Will and More issue. I have never been so proud in my life to be part of something so controversial as that one. It brought our country into the global space in terms of the agenda on commodities. It diluted the usual talk we talk about political characters. For the longest time, we're talking policy, we're talking business and how the world can affect us and how we can affect the world. We're talking how do we domesticate, we're talking how the new employment opportunities, the amount of creativity that can come with this. We're talking value chains. At what stage should we get involved in processing of this commodity, value adding, Do we export it raw, or do we add more values in country or outside country? And since then, the rest is history. So now we're talking water, we're talking vegetables. We will not be talking about the subjects if we do not have that amount of resistance. So when you do a thing like that, you may lose the battle, but the lessons learned from that battle can be applied in many commodities, and that's what is happening now. Even when I'm long gone, I will forever be happy to say we were part of that. The buy local or local produce campaign. We started it. No, we didn't start it, but we highlighted it. We brought it to the front. We made it fashionable. The issue about small businesses were not existent. It was just Ministry of Trade. We were talking industrial players and big players. We were not talking the usual guy on the street. Now they are now the stakeholders. They are substantial, very influential group of people you can no longer ignore. Now they are aware that most of the votes come from the same constituency of small businesses. So these things are not small. If you look at it in the bigger picture, they are not so small at all. Things like exercising the ability to regulate or restrict what comes in the border and outside. I know then it was the issue of meat. Those things opened people's eyes. Issues like engaging with the public on social media. That is the ministry we did to change the game, to stay up, to say there's platforms that you could use that are not conventional, that could get the people busy with communicating, not winning. No. There, when we win, we win when people are busy engaging over these issues. Not necessarily whether or not who is right or wrong, but the fact that you stepped up, you changed the environment. So that is the reason I went into politics. And that is the reason I will still be and remain in politics.
Wow. And surely you lived up to the movement of being a change agent. We can see this
and that
even
is,
in your
that
role.
is exactly what you did. You don't change people. You cause them and give them a reason to think and see things differently.
Yes.
But you don't know how they're gonna see it. But that shake-up, it's all you ever did, because it opens up channels that were closed before. People start looking at the alternatives, start thinking new ways of doing things, not just, it was always like this, we stuck like that. No.
That's good. I think we also want to know how youth can become effective change agents, especially in politics.
Active participation, that's bottom line. You don't become passive player and then expect things to work your way if you're not part of it.
So some people are afraid to go into politics because they feel like it might have a negative impact on their career as a whole. Is that true?
Fear, to start with, it's something else. In my little religious references, I always say there's a famous phrase which, where there's love, there's no fear. And if God is love, where there's fear, then there's no God. So anybody that lives on the principle of fear is without God. So if you are without God, I don't know who you are with. And that has, to me, been the premises. You cannot be an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur means taking a risk. If you're afraid to take risk, if you're afraid, you can't take risks. And risk is not even the issue of whether you choose to be or not. We live in an environment where there is always a potential to, you don't want to die, but you're going to die. If you want to go up in your career or climb up the tree, you risk falling by going up. If you speak up your mind, you risk criticism because you have dared to voice your opinion. So the only thing that you can do is not do anything, and nothing will happen to you if you don't do or say anything. You're just dead. You might as well save us the time, the effort, the resources and die now. You know.
So I think I like that you are very active in all the spaces. You're active in politics, you're active as an entrepreneur, but also you were the president of the LIA, right? Why was it important to associate
yes, that
with
was important. It was virtue of being at the right position at the right time. I got elected, and what it did was the taste of leadership, the appreciation of the role within the national context. You become a representative of Lesotho. You represent your country in international forums. You become the voice of your people. You start learning and comparing, benchmarking. And then the issues become reported to you, and you need to be the voice of the collective to narrate them to the whole world. And after that skill, even if you don't have it, you'll be forced to have it. Once you've been there, when you get removed from the position, they do not go. Do you know that? When you're no longer a president, doesn't mean anything that you acquired, learned, appreciated as a president disappears with it. It stays with you. So if you're fallen in love with the need to become part of the solutions, or to know or identify people's problems and challenges, and how to act to make them change. So that was the role. For me, it was an educational path, and that's where the urge to become a leader became. Hence why the movement was started after that presidency, because I no longer had a position to do what I did. So the movement was more like now a foundation, if you know what I mean, a platform that will enable me to continue to do community service outside of the formal position that I've had, but still continue to be doing and addressing the same issues that we had. And in the movement, it was very simple. It was initially supposed to be, I am a chartered accountant. So when I made the presentation to the institute, they thought I wanted to prolong my relevance to the profession. So it didn't work. I said, okay, I'll make it work. Then I changed the word chartered accountant into change agent. And then I was then able to invite anybody and everybody, irrespective of religion, irrespective of age, irrespective, and it became everybody's. And it was not formal, it was voluntary. Even today, it's still voluntary. And there's a reason for that, because we said, I don't know what changes you want to see in your life. I don't know what changes you want to see in your life, but whatever they are, bring them, let us know about them. I will let you know about mine. He will let us know about his. And then it's going to be the question, how do we help him? How do you help you? How do you help me achieve whatever change I have in mind? Not because we have to say, let's prioritize. No, you're not stopping your interest. You're not stopping your interest. We are here. And at the end of it, it was entrepreneurship, it was love for country, and then it was resourcefulness. To say, let's believe that at any given time, there is never an excuse for us to fail. We are never short of resources. We are never short. Whatever it is that we have should be able to enable us to achieve something out of it, irrespective of your qualification, wealth, background, or education. That at any given time, there's always enough at your disposal to make things happen. That's the change area.
All right. So, can you advise young people to join professional associations because of the benefits that you've gotten? What can you say are the benefits, and why would you advocate?
You are not alone. You are not alone in your cause. You are together in one cause. You are not isolated. You do not feel alone. And your influence, the voice becomes bigger. It's like when you sing a song, you can sing a song, and if we all to decide to sing a song and you sing your song, my song, it will be noisy. But if we were to all sing the same song, the same paragraph, same line at the same time, a melody would come out of it. Same effort, but how we go about it, the results are amazing. So the issue of association is we want that harmonization, that melody, to say that way whoever is listening hears us because our message is loud enough, it's clear enough, it's beautiful enough, it's melodic, it's a team effort. So being part of associations and all sorts of associations, even in politics, that's the importance of it. You are not alone in whatever you're pursuing. You are with us, but for your own cause, for my cause, my cause is your cause is her cause. That's why we're together. Because the one thing that binds us together is that commonality, that common thing.
So some people join associations just for them to put on their resume, member of, because it has something to bring with it. What would be your advice to people?
That is already good enough. You see, that's the point. There is a value in an association that can add to their value. They are aware of it already. The very same reason why they went to that, because they wanted a tag or a title at the end or an emblem or whatever. It's because the association of that association, the brand of that association speaks to them to say, I'm part of that brand.
So how can they fully extract the value other than just that of association?
It is important. You join the association, but you also become a partaker, an active. It's the same issue we were talking about, being passive, an entertainer or a spectator. There is much more being a spectator and an entertainer. There's much more than just being a spectator. There's much more than just being an entertainer. Sometimes you got to shine. Sometimes you got to take your space and let others shine, because it's a collective thing. It's a group thing. It's not a one way. And you will grow that much because it's like listening and talking. You got to listen sometimes. Sometimes you got to talk. Even in association, it's do your part. And we all have different parts. Others are on the forefront. Others will be the ones that give you strength when you're down. Look, I saw you were up there, you were shining, but I saw tears in your eyes. Things like those. They may not be an allowed role, but they are playing a role nevertheless that keeps you going.
So I love the passion at which you even talk about the Be a Change movement. Can you share one of your victories from the time that you started the movement to date?
The biggest victory is having sold the popularity of being self-sufficient. We're not the mourners. We're not the complainers. We're not the whiners. That helps people to have a state of mind to say, I own my life. They become happier. They don't become victims in their mind. And it starts there. Everything, the greatest, most beautiful, biggest thing that you have ever seen in your life was somebody's idea. So is the worst thing that you have ever seen, baddest thing that you have ever seen, was somebody's idea. And if we were to appreciate the power of, or the importance of conceiving the ideas that change people's lives and elevates it from the normal level into a different level, imagine what beauty it's that. We talk reforms now. Reforms that are effective are reforms that are inside the individuals. And this is an opportunity to deal with. And I told you, said, this is voluntary. So the ownership of a person is not coming from a constitution, which is what we usually debate about. To say a section or clause something invalidates this. But when it's yours voluntarily, who do you accuse when things go wrong?
You set your own rules.
Yes, you set your own. Nobody forced you to do that. It's like love. They say it's blind or stupid. When you truly love somebody and things go bad, you never find a reason to blame someone. And you take the pain with a smile, because the feeling of love overwhelms the pain that people see. And those things are virtues. It's like faith, hope, things that you cannot touch, but that have an energy that keeps us going.
As we are about to wrap up, I just want to ask one personal question. I think you are one of the person that has endured the most criticism within your space. I think for some initiatives, how do you take up? How do you take up?
Because we were loud, and it came with the territory. It is expected. Once you get out of your comfort zone and go out there, you will get criticism, and you also get a lot of compliments, which you will not even hear about. And once you stand out, that's when you'll see and hear things that you would never have thought. Once you start to be yourself and make the world know you, then you're not just adding numbers, you are alive. And the world will acknowledge your presence with good or bad feedback, but nevertheless it talks to say someone is alive.
So what has kept you going despite the criticism? It's the impact. It's the those little the purpose.
It's the purpose. A purpose over profitability. You will see there's a theory on responsive organizations, and those are some of the values that we took even as change agents to say, look for purpose over profitability, look for empowerment over control, look for transparency over secrecy, look for network over hierarchies. Those were the values that have been pushing us to say, at the end of the day, it's not just me, it's all of us.
Yes, I think this has been a very insightful interview. Thank you very much, Dr. Lerata.
My pleasure.
I've learned so much. I think, for one, it's important to understand that mentorship is also not strictly formal. You have your informal, and Dr. Lerata also, I hope that someday he'll get to share the informal sector that he also even said for movie characters. You can identify a movie character that does things in a particular way and find that these are some of the things that you would like to embody as well or implement in your own life. I think that was very powerful. Also, as professionals, we often think that also politics might ruin our careers, but I think he's a living example that you go into politics, but also you're also a professional person and you can still pursue that. I think this has been a very insightful interview, and we are very thankful to have you here.
And to our viewers, we just want to let them know that our episodes are broadcasted or under the Inspire Mentorship Program page. And while they are watching them, they should not forget to hit the like, the subscribe button. We are also on YouTube and also on podcast. So when you see that link, please don't be shy. Just share it, let others also benefit from the awesome content that we have for you at home, for you young professionals at home, and also for your employers every Monday. So please make sure that you like, subscribe, share multiple times, share on all your platforms, and let's have an amazing time learning all this awesome stuff.
And happy Monday!
Yeah.